Artists, creatives, and designers, welcome to Dream Aloud Art, the podcast where creatives are educated on seeing value in themselves and their creations. Presented to you by RTA, respecttheartist.com. I'm your host, fellow creative and friend, Electra B. Frederick. Let's go. Hey artists, what's good? What is good? Listen. Oh my goodness. Yeah, we're going to talk about change. We're going to talk about change and why it's so hard and such a challenge, not only for artists, but for a lot of people. And I'm going to be mindful of just how much in depth I want to go in this conversation because, as y'all know, this could be an extended talk. And it's needed. If I'm keeping it real, it's needed. It is needed. So let's just go ahead and dive in. Why is change so hard for artists? And I'm going to go ahead and jump right into it. I'm not going to give you too much of a buffer before we get to the meat. You know what I'm saying? Before we get to the main things that need to be discussed. So let's just start with the heads up. All right. So first and foremost, we're always changing. We're constantly changing. Spiritually, mentally, physically, we're changing. So an illusion, or one illusion, is that I know this is going to sound wild, but just hang in there with me. The illusion is that we're not, okay? The illusion or the mindset is that we're not. And I'll give you an example. So someone could get into a particular job, right? And they've been at this job for 10 years and they've been in the same position for 10 years. And in their mind, there are parts or elements of their thinking that is telling them that they have not changed. And this is where it's a challenge for an individual to change because they're telling themselves that they're not, or that they're not changing, or that they don't need to. But you've been changing. It's inevitable that you're changing. The illusion is that you're looking at that particular position that you're in and saying or believing that you're not. So this links closely to my book, my ebook that I have, The Confident Artist. Links are in the description for that. But it really does link closely to that because although the focus has to do with confidence and understanding your self-worth, there is a portion of my writing where I'm talking about confusion. And this is not and I'm talking about confusion in the confused mind, but this is not an insult to you, right? We all have moments where we question our worth, question our value, and that is where confusion is born because it's not 100% certain. So going back to the example of the person who has been working at a particular position and they have told themselves that they haven't changed. Baby cakes, you have. Okay, you've changed. You've changed. You have to get into alignment to understand that you have changed and you're constantly changing, especially on a physical level. You're always shedding skin. You're always growing hair. You're always like, your cells are always developing and like, it's a physiological thing. Google that. Google all of that. All right. If it makes you feel better. But the truth is you're always changing. You're always aging. It's just fact. So one of the reasons why change is so difficult is because An artist has yet to understand that it's inevitable. You're always changing. And to resist what is true is to confuse yourself. I'm gonna let that marinate for a minute. To resist what is true is confusing yourself. It's the choice to confuse yourself. And we can't help that in the human body. We can't help that. But what can happen is awareness can come in. And awareness can only come from outside of, let me say this, let me be mindful of how I'm saying this. Awareness can only come when it comes. Or I'm not even going to say outside of yourself. I'm not going to say inside of yourself. When you become aware, then okay, let me pause here because I feel like y'all know I'm very careful about how I say things, because some people are determined to weave it and mold it into what fits their current thinking pattern, right? They're determined to keep it in their thinking pattern, but I'm determined to have you expand out of how you're thinking. So awareness can set in when it sets in. All right. And y'all know on a spiritual level, for myself, I link that to God. Some people will say universe. Some people will say other things, right? But it comes. And when it comes, when the awareness comes, you cannot unsee it. So that's where, say, the person who's in that job position for 10 years, they have convinced themselves, and I'll say, an artist who has been doing the same, using the same subject, using the same medium. They've gotten into a flow, they've gotten into a system, and a system that feels like it works. And because it works, because it actually gets something done and they get results from it, they do not have the desire to expand or lean into the idea that there are changes that can happen that can actually launch them. That can actually launch them into another stratosphere that they didn't even know existed. But they have to become aware of that. So I'll let y'all marinate on that first point. You may need to rewind all the way to the beginning, 7 minutes ago, okay? Or 8 minutes ago. So again, we're going to highlight that. Why is it so hard for an artist to change what they're doing, to change how they're running their business? Or let me go even deeper, the artist who feels like their business is not moving. It's not getting them the results that they need, but for some reason, they are okay with that. Now, I know that's going to sound weird, so I'll say it in a different way. They're in a current pattern of thinking. This thinking is knowing that, well, here's what the thinking sounds like, or what the thoughts are. Okay, well, I know this thing isn't working over here, but I'm going to keep doing it anyway, because this is what I know. I know to do it this way, so I'm going to keep doing it this way. I'm going to keep doing it. It's not getting me the results, but the results that my heart actually desires. And I'm talking about your heart on a physical level. Because a lot of stress can come when you are not leaning into what you know on a physical level will make you feel better. So hear me when I say that about what your heart actually desires, right? So again, the artist's thinking pattern goes a little something like this. Okay, not working, gonna do it anyway. Not working, gonna do it anyway. And until awareness comes in, until the vibrations of my voice or someone else's voice or the content from somewhere else outside of your normal routine life, until that awareness comes in and it kicks you energetically like a mule. And in some occasions, of course, it may not kick you like a mule, but it will set in until you can't unsee it. You cannot unsee it. You know there's something wrong with this picture, for example, right? If you're doing something and it's not getting you the results that you want, you know there's something wrong. At least in your mind, you're like, this is wrong. Okay, this is wrong. Something is up here. This is not making sense. So once again, your way works, air quotes, okay, air quotes, You think it's working, but you know it's not getting you a desired result, but for some reason you're going to keep doing it. And change is hard because unless awareness sets in, unless you become super mindful in that moment, and I'm not going to say super mindful, let me rewind, because that sounds big and we tend to put things on a visual scale in our head. So until you become aware, until awareness kicks in, until mindfulness comes in, you will continue to do the same thing. That's all. You'll just continue to do the same thing. And that change is perceived as difficult because it rocks you. It rocks you. Something happens in your spirit. Something happens to you energetically. Something happens to you on a much deeper level. And you cannot unsee it. So your way works, right? Why exactly is change so hard? Because to you, your way works. But my question is, does it make you expand? Does it grow you? Does it challenge you? I always say nobody watches a movie where everything is peachy from the beginning to the end. How is that even worth watching? So your life is like that. You are going to have pitfalls. You are going to have challenges. You are going to have things stretch and expand you. But come on, this is the movie of your life. And you think it's supposed to be peachy from the start to the end? Nobody wants to read that story. Nobody wants to watch that movie. Nobody wants to tune into that. And before I continue with the second point here, let me let y'all know something. There have been plenty of times that I've been challenged. As a matter of fact, I'm experiencing a huge challenge right now. There are marks with respect to artists that are not being met. They're not being met. There are standards that are not being met. There are things that are happening right now that is not allowing RTA to expand the way it needs to. And certain things have had to be put on the back burner. Changes have had to be made. And strategy needs to happen. Changes need to happen. And you have to be okay with that. You cannot concern and wrap your thoughts around what somebody else is thinking, because I got news for you. This is what I said. This is what I share with the artists that I give consultations to. A lot of people aren't really thinking about you from sunup to sundown. I think that's very important for you to realize. We're not wrapping our minds completely around you. Okay? And I say that with love, but it's just true. We'll be so in our head about making a change that... But why? Why are we so in our head? Because I'm going to keep it real with y'all, okay? 100 emojis, drop them. Drop those 100 emojis, right? It's selfish. There's selfishness wrapped in there because you actually believe that everybody is watching you. Everyone is paying so much attention to every single move you make. Not true. Not true. I don't care how many followers you got. I don't care how many people are on your email list. I don't care how many people you perform in front of. People are not pulling their hair out wondering what is the next thing this artist is going to do. Stop it. There's so much selfishness and ego wrapped up in that kind of thinking. Do what you have to do. Point blank. I mentioned earlier, Respect the Artist is going through some stuff right now. This is part of being human. And it's so important that you hear this. It's so important for me to say it. And it's hard. It's hard to actually say Respect the Artist is going through some challenges right now. We're going through some changes. We're going through some huge changes right now. The members, me, the team, period. Because it's so important to say this, because I don't think y'all are actually, sometimes when it comes to changes and all of these things, artists, you have to allow yourself to be a human being. In this physical body, baby, things are going to happen. And painting a picture of perfection, man, it's just not healthy. So it's okay to go through things. It's okay to run into what feels like pitfalls, but these are elements that are part of your story. These are elements that are part of your life. We are dynamic human beings. Will you please give yourself the okay to be human? You're a spiritual being in a human body, a spiritual being having a human experience. You will be challenged. You will change. You have to change. It's inevitable. Things are going to happen to force that mindset to realize that you're changing. Oh my goodness, I'm changing. Oh, wow. Yeah, you're right. You should be. You should be. So let's talk about another reason why change is so hard for artists. Because it dominoes into their life and the other things that you have created as part of your system, your routine, your ritual. That's the other reason, because it dominoes. And when you change one thing, it will impact another. It just does. So I'll take an example. This is one that I hear all the time. And once again, y'all, links are in the description if you are interested in being a client of mine. I really am minimizing the amount of clients that I have because there's so much that is put into these one-on-ones. So much. There's so much. So even in my mind, I'm probably only going to accept two at the most. 2 consultation clients. Link is in the description. I think. I can't even promise 2, right? Okay. So I'm just going to say, I'll say 2 for now, but that's the max. So here's a prime example that I was going into earlier. I promise you, all day, every day, artists talk about how much they want to be involved in an artist community and they want to meet other artists, but I'm telling you, they don't. They actually don't, because there are so many opportunities to be part of an artist community, but they actually will not lean into it. You know why? Because it will change their life routine. The pattern of not having involvement in the artist community is what they're used to. So they won't take the first step because it will domino into everything else. They won't join the artist community. And I'm not talking just about respect the artists. Like, that is not what I'm talking about. That's part of it, but they won't go to an event. They won't go out and network. They won't even poke around online, because respect the artists, the majority of the members are very active online, right? And then, of course, we have the in-person events. But it will change. You will have to change, and then it will change you because you have the willingness to change. So that means your 9 to 5, that you have the routine, you pack your lunch, and I'm talking about a current job, but of course you have your routine. Let's just say you make time to create, you have your creative schedule, and you're right in this groove of things. You are in this system that you've created, and to change means disruption to the system. It doesn't mean catastrophic disruption, okay? But it is going to disrupt your current system. And you actually need to realize that happens all the time because you are changing. So to your basic schedule, you look at that basic schedule like it is a set routine, but you're constantly changing. You can never do the same thing the same way twice. You cannot. You can't. It's impossible. I don't care if you're trying to reproduce something and you reproduce it, air quotes, successfully, you successfully reproduce it. It's not the same. You have to understand that you're a dynamic being and you're constantly changing anyway. But if you want to have a mindset as though you don't change, right? Like, let's say this is the routine you have as an artist. This is a routine you have in your daily life with your family. This is your routine. If you believe that you are not changing, or that you cannot change, which is a lie to yourself. I'm just going to keep it real. I can't change. This is how it is for me. That's not even true. It's a repeated belief system, and it can stay that way if you want it to. But as soon as, what did we learn earlier? Awareness kicks in. As soon as awareness kicks in, or comes in, or sets in, or flies in, or mindfulness is now present, you can no longer, or it'll set in to the point that you can't unsee it. You see it now. So another reason why change is so hard for the artist is because it dominoes into their life. So the example of an artist community, well, baby cakes, if you want to be part of an artist community, then you get up off your duff, you get out there and you meet people. It's not even that hard. It's not even that hard. It's not. It's legit not that hard. It's not that hard. It's just not hard. Okay? There's so many opportunities, paid and free. Okay? The paid and free opportunities. Oh, heaven forbid you have to pay $5 to attend an event. Oh, I don't want to do that. But then you claim that you want to meet people. How exactly does this work? Can you please school me? Tell me how you can accomplish what you're trying to accomplish without changing something. Come on. Let's just put some light on that. Change will stretch you and expand you. And it's necessary because it's part of your life here. If you do the same thing, the same way with your art, with your creativity, you get the air quotes, right? Same result. But what did we just learn earlier? There is no way that anything can be done the exact same way twice, because it's not in the same moment. So it can't be repeated in time, right? In time, when we're talking about the construct of time, it's been done and it can't be done again in that time. So the time that I'm saying this phrase right now will change from the time that I'm saying the next phrase. That's two different times. So I can say, respect the artist, right? It sounds like I'm doing it the same way, but it's been done in a different time. I hope you caught that. You may have to rewind this. Nothing can be done the same way twice at the same time. It just cannot. So we're constantly changing. As soon as you understand, embrace that, you will be empowered because you now have reached the next, air quotes, level, if you will. You've reached a next level or a higher state or a different state of mindfulness. You are now aware. Change can't possibly be difficult. It's natural for you. It's natural. It happens all the time. So I hope that you pulled something of value out of this conversation. Y'all know, even if I personally am going through some challenges right now, RTA is going through some challenges, some real turnarounds, and, honestly, just humongous challenges with personnel, with financial status, all of that. It's important y'all realize that, because life is not about painting the perfect picture and, hey, everything is peachy. Yeah, I mean, it can be in that snapshot of a moment, but there are things that will push you. And the challenges that I'm experiencing right now, the challenges that Respect the Artist is experiencing, is pushing us into a new dimension, if you will. A dimension just meaning in the state of time, just meaning in the state of our presence. It's pushing and expanding. Do not be fooled by anyone or anything that makes you think that their picture is perfect all the time. That if it's perfect all the time, I would question how much growth is there really. I'm just saying, how much growth is there really? Our lives cannot possibly be documented 100% for the entire world to see. There's too much that goes on in our life, in our minds, in our hearts, in our desires. There's too much that goes on, so it can't possibly be documented. And your thoughts will never be documented because too many thoughts are occurring at the same time. So if you're experiencing a change right now, let that change be perceived as part of your evolution because it's natural. You should be changing. You're a dynamic human being. So I love y'all. I'm praying for y'all. I appreciate you. Click the link in the description once again if you're interested in being one of two, maybe two, but if you are interested in one-on-one consultations with me, fill out the qualification form and then we'll go from there. That form will be sent to the team email. And I appreciate y'all so much. Hey, like I said, this ain't about what works for somebody else. This ain't a dog and pony show. This is not a unicorn and a catacorn show. This is about you and what is necessary for you. You make the changes you need to make. Period. End of subject. All right. I love y'all, and I'll catch y'all on the next episode. Artists, creatives, and designers, it has been an honor and a pleasure to spend this time with you. I'm grateful for your encouragement, love, respect, and support. Follow this podcast and share this episode with another creative who needs to hear it. Your positive ratings and reviews are highly appreciated. Screen capture this episode, post it and tag me on Instagram at DreamAloudArt so I can show the love in return. For more information on having an artist consultation with me or for being on the YouTube show for artist interviews, check the description on this episode or go to respecttheartist.com. That's RESPECTTHEARTISTS.com. Much love to y'all. And remember, RTA stands for Respect the Artists. I'll catch y'all on the next episode. Peace, peace from here to the Far East.